Welcome back, True Seeker. Want to say thank you to Charmaine for sending this article to me. It's on the AOL website. Who forgot about America Online, but it's syndicated by the New York Post. Trump tells the Post, I always knew the date for an Israeli attack on Iran. Now, remember, Trump said that on the first day he was going to end the war in Ukraine and Russia. And remember, Zelensky turned 47 5 days after he took office. Don't forget, Ukraine equals 47 in Gematria either, and it has a lot to do with Israel, which was drawn up as a nation in 47 by the United Nations. But yeah, he also said that he'd get this thing solved too, very quickly. And, you know, it's never been closer to World War III, and now he's saying he knew all along. Well, why wasn't he saying that on the campaign trail? The only person that seems to know all along was, the people in this community. We've been laying out June 13th all year and how it fell on the kill date. The day leaving 201 days. But anyway, here's what the chump had to say. President Trump told the Post Friday that he knew Israel would strike Iran if the theocratic regime didn't quickly agree to a revised nuclear deal with the U.S. I always knew the date, the president said in a brief phone interview, because I know everything. I know everything. I know everything. I gave them 60 days and they didn't meet it, Trump went on. Today's 61, Today's the day, 61. Like we said, you guys, again, it's all Jesuit stuff, right? Trump's Jesuit educated, went to Fordham. The first decade with the Vatican, the Jesuits were limited to 60 members by the Pope. The word order equals 60. The Jesuit order equates to 201, June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. 61 is the number connected to God from sacred geometry, where gematria means geometry and language, and it comes from Kabbalah. And again, gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words. Keep in mind words like God, Jesus, church, etc., equals 61. So is Washington, D.C., the Masonic city, where they have the big G for a symbol in tribute to God and tribute to geometry, thus the instruments of geometry around it, and tribute to Gematria. The G stands for a lot of things, too, including the generative principle. But anyway, the president had never publicly revealed the 60-day deadline, though its existence had been reported by Israeli media. And remember, that was on April 12th that Trump laid that down, which is the 102nd day of the year. And of course, Art of War equals 102, World War equals 102. The Jesuits totally behind the world wars. The letter about 3 world wars to come, published on the Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th. Again, the text Art of War, known of because of the Jesuit priest Father Amiot, who translated it, supposedly written by a Sun Tzu, when the Jesuit logo's the sun. Again, though its existence had been reported by Israeli media until after Israel launched Thursday's attack. Well, it was Thursday in the U.S., but it was Friday in Israel, June 13th. It was Papa Bush's birthday anniversary. And by the way, Papa Bush would have turned 101 on Thursday, thus beginning the 102nd year of his life. The man who said the New World Order will be realized. Remember, the New York Times, October 6, 1940, had that article, 33 years to the day of the Yom Kippur War, about New World Order pledged to the Jays. Until after Israel launched Thursday's attack and had been coy on whether he fully supported giving Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu the green light to strike. Keep in mind, Thursday was 60 days from Trump's statement. In a video statement Friday, Netanyahu said Israel alerted U.S. about the strike in advance. And of course, in our media outside of this, they said that the U.S. didn't know anything about it. So what's what? We didn't know anything about it. We knew everything. They knew about the attack, he said. What will they do now? I leave that to President Trump. The first sign that a significant operation was afoot came Wednesday, when non-essential U.S. personnel were told to leave several outposts in the region. Remember, that was the date with 42 numerology, where Iran equals 42, like war, like World War. Trump had stressed that he wanted to reach a deal diplomatically first, but if that failed, he had warned in May, we could actually blow the centrifuges up. Trump hosted Netanyahu at the White House on 4/7. Isn't it funny, you guys? Isn't it just funny? Just over 2 months before Israeli forces launched devastating attacks targeting top Iranian military officials and nuclear scientists. That would have been 67 days before the attack. 67, one of those numbers that has to do with ritual sacrifice. A lot of dead scientists. Iran responded by launching 100 drones back at Israel, which the Israel Defense Forces said had been intercepted. Asked whether Netanyahu provided him with intelligence showing the progress of Iran's nuclear program and whether the 60-day window was mutually agreed on, Trump said, "I know what's going on. Someone informed me of it. The U.S. has been pressing Iran to abandon its nuclear enrichment program altogether in return for re-entering the global economy." Vice President J.D. Vance. By the way, there's a manhunt for a guy named Vance after the Minnesota killings today. Of course, that's where the other VP is that Vance ran against. J.D. Vance said in May that the optimum deal would be for Iran to halt its nuclear program and the complete cessation of any chance that they can get a nuclear weapon. You know, from Netanyahu's meeting with Trump to the attack, like I said, it was 67 days later. If you count the span, that was a span of 68 days. I know nuclear weapon equals 68, so does nuclear energy. I've talked about how the first nuclear site, Hanford, the government cleared everybody out of Hanford on the 68th day of the year back when that plant was built in the 40s. They did some 68 rituals early on in the war with Russia and Ukraine with some of their nuclear sites, too. I have to go back and check my notes. I think on the anniversary of the U.S. government clearing out Hanford for the nuclear site, there was a nuclear scare in Ukraine, if I remember correctly. Double check. But Tehran had been unwilling to come to that agreement with Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, saying on June 4th, remember Israel equals 64, so to Zion, June 13 at the 64 date numerology, 64 spaces on the chessboard. Oh yeah, tell him, sweet girl. Who are you to tell us whether we should have a nuclear program or not? Yeah, and again, even though it's all theater, I would say, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But then again, Iran's a CIA puppet state, and that's why they got Khamenei there with the same very important date of the Jesuits for a birthday in charge. That's that April 19th date. But yeah, Trump knew all along. That's a major contradiction with the U.S. had nothing about this, no knowledge. Initially, as the news broke, CNN and CBS saying it's very unclear why this happened today. But the Trump saying he knew all along. We knew all along, too, because the old 201. What else? We'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. And until next time.